Here's a familiar scenario. Something you might be going through even right this moment. You're shopping for a pair of budget headphones, preferably with active noise cancellation, and as you're doing your research, you soon start to realize that there are just so many options out there. It's almost overwhelming. Where do I start? Where do I end? And to make things more complicated, many of these options are happy to play the generic card. They look alike, they sound alike, they feel alike, they're priced alike. And from time to time though, there are a couple of brands that come along and say, hey, I want to take some high-end features and price it down lower in the totem pole and try to challenge the big guns and vie for your hard-earned COVID cash. And here's one of those, the Wyze headphones. Wyze, by the way, is known for pushing out really solid consumer electronics for low prices. This thing is $70, so at least it gets the low price part bit correct. But is it solid? And actually, to be honest, at this price, this thing is playing in really dangerous territory, especially with the super competent Soundcore Q30 and other brands like that out there. So, should you consider the Wyze headphones or not? Let's find out after these messages. So here it is, the Wyze headphones, and in case you haven't noticed already, these are over-the-ear kind, closed back, complete with active noise cancellation and quite a lot of other features for only 65-ish bucks. It uses Bluetooth 5.0 to take care of the wireless transmission bit, while audio decoding is done through AAC and SBC protocols only. There's no aptX here, y'all, even though it's 2021, so that's kind of a wah-wah. However, there is Bluetooth multi-point connection to kind of make up for it, I suppose. With this feature, you can switch between two connected devices on the fly. There's also a companion app where you can tweak certain parts of the controls as well as the equalizer. We'll check that out in a second. Battery life is rated at 20 hours with active noise cancellation doing its thing. In reality, I manage a slightly higher 21 hours with active noise cancellation on at 65% volume. But either way you look at this, these numbers are nothing to shout about because even something like the Tautronics BH90 throws down 30 hours for $20 less. Now, weight is a rather hefty 281 grams, with most of it coming from here, the ear cups. Let's take a closer look at the headphones, and yeah, these are not going to win any kind of design awards anytime soon. It's a generic budget headphone design is what it is, but at least it's solid. As you can hear right here, there's barely any hollowness. It's well assembled and it has some interesting features like this Twizzler-like spiral arms and also these oblong ear apertures that fit your earlobe really well. The plastics and the polycarbonates used in this entire piece is really nice to the touch, but I have to note that they will show scratches really easily, especially along the ear pads and right here on the headband. Now, the pleather used on the headband and the ear pads look good and they have a generous amount of foam padding, definitely a boon for long-term comfort. The hinges, they twist and fold down into a compact form like this, so you can stuff in your backpack just by itself or with the included storage sack. In the business end of things, there's a 40mm driver with neodymium magnets in it and a composite diaphragm in each of the ear cups. Now, the specs look pretty good on paper and also especially in the marketing material, but we'll discuss the sound quality later in the show. Looking towards the left ear cup, you'll find the USB-C charging port, and right next to that is the active noise cancellation and pass remote cycle button. And at the top, we have one venting port. Next to that is a mic port, and these two ports are actually mirrored on the right side as well. Now, onto the right side, that's really it for the left side. On the right side, we have a 3.5mm audio jack, as well as a couple more microphones for phone calls, one here and one on the lip. There's a total of 6 mics on board, and we've seen 4 so far. The other 2 are actually hidden behind the padding right here. The controls themselves is an amalgamation of physical buttons and touch, and I personally enjoy actual buttons to control my devices, and on the Wyze itself, the push action of these buttons is really nice and pleasant and not overly stiff, except maybe for the left side, this one sounds really hollow. Now, the buttons themselves handle everything from the power and cycling, the noise cancellation to volume and track control, plus voice assistant activation as well as when you hold this one down. Now, the odd part is the touchpad itself, which is this whole surface. There's none on the left, but only on the right. The actual touch surface only serves 2 purposes, and one of which is double tap to activate voice assistant, which is really something you can do right here anyway, so I'm not sure why it exists, but I guess options, right? And the other one is touch to turn on pass-through mode. So I would suggest more than one finger. Technically, you can use one, but two or more fingers work the best. The latter is really cool and all, but I think more functions could have been added and customized for this, which you can't, by the way, even with the app. And speaking of which, I think it's time to check out the app real quick. So here is the Wyze app, and the app homepage serves as the central hub for all their connected devices. And to access the headphones, you just tap the headphone icon. It'll take a second or two to connect to it, the device itself, and it'll take you to the control center, which really is primarily to cycle through the active noise cancellation and transparency modes. That's it. This full screen carousel one at a time method honestly is kind of slow and a waste of screen real estate. It would be nice if you could quickly jump between any of the three anytime you need, or they had included some kind of widgets at the front here to access equalizer settings or something. And speaking of equalizer, it's right here at the top right. And if you tap that, you have access to a 4-band equalizer. It's right here, and along with 4 presets: bass, movie, video, voice, and game. And there's only one customizable space only. Now, if you want to delve into the settings a little bit more, it's on the top right here in the gear icon. You tap that, and here you'll find your detailed battery info, which honestly could have been consolidated on the main screen. It's nice to have the ability to auto power off the timeout right here. You can change it from 15 minutes to 60 minutes, and you can also toggle on and off the wear detection right here, which also honestly this works about 60% of the time maybe, so it's okay. You can also swap out your voice assistants from whatever you have on your phone to specifically Alexa here, part of branding I guess. And you can also turn off touch controls. Let's get done here. And you can turn off touch controls right here. I wish you could customize the touch controls altogether, but it's just either on or off. Alright, so we're outside doing the Bluetooth distance test, and I have some Jess Glynn playing. I'll be there on Deezer. I'm going to put the phone at the end of my deck like I normally do, and we're going to walk the Wyze headphones. I'm going to walk you guys around the back of my house towards the side and see when these headphones disconnect from the source, which is the phone. So where I'm going to stand in a second, right here is 25 feet away from the phone, and we're going to walk around the back side of my house here past line of sight. And because it's Bluetooth 5.0, these Wyze headphones, we should start hearing sputtering, yeah, like on cue. Right about now, we get disconnection. Disconnection, is that even a word? Some sputtering, and yeah, we're gonna keep walking around the side here just for fun, when to find out when these guys disconnect completely, just out of curiosity. Right about here, I just got a tone around 45 feet, so that's pretty much the norm. One of the shorter ranges I've seen for a headphone, but it's well within the 5.0 specs, Bluetooth 5.0. As you can see, also the fit. Some of you may find this a little bit too bulky for your liking. Yes, it is for me too. I kind of look like a air traffic controller or some kind of landscaper running the lawnmower or something. It is kind of on the bulky side, but it is very comfortable. One weird thing about Bluetooth in this case though, some devices reconnect and continue to your device once you're back in range and continue media. And granted, this one I'm not expecting it to do that, but it does one thing worse too. When I'm back in range, it doesn't even reconnect to my device. I have to go back into my phone, go back to Bluetooth and reconnect it that way. It's kind of a weird thing. I'm not sure if it's because I got a lemon, or is it my phone, or something else altogether. Maybe some of you can chime in who are owners of Wyze headphones. But anyways, on to the microphone test for Bluetooth phone calls. All right, now we're heading down to the main road to find some traffic to test the noise suppression on these headphones. And I'm going to switch between the G85 and the headphones, and you can hear for yourself how the samples sound like to your ears. But I've tested these. I have the opportunity to test this over the past few days, and I'm okay with it. Specs wise, there's 4 microphones on board working. I think overboard they're just pushed to the max, especially when it's windy. Right now it's not too windy, but when I've been testing on a windy day, these things suffer. They really break up, and because of also a lot of venting ports here, they get in and they bother you as the caller. So they're not really good for windy days, but perfectly fine for Zoom calls, obviously, but they better be. And also, you know, just moderate sound levels outside. If you're working outside, like right now, it's kind of moderate sounding. It's okay, but if you're on a busy street or mowing a lawn, these things suffer. If you're talking to someone on the phone, forget about it. Don't bother. I have to say though, due to firmware updates, the quality has improved. I know the Wyze community has been full of issues with the audio modulation. We're doing phone calls, the volume dips really low in terms of sound volume. And I think they've improved it with firmware updates. So that's a good thing that Wyze is on the ball in terms of updating these things. But keep your expectations low, guys. It's $50. These things perform pretty good for what they are. My top favorite thing about the Wyze headphones is that it's packed to the gills with features. Active noise cancellation, quick pass-through mode, auto pause play, multi-point Bluetooth connection, customization. There's something for everyone, it seems. Except unless you enjoy sound quality. That's a whole other matter, and we'll talk about that in the negatives. Yes, Houston, we have a problem. One thing I love about Wyze products in general, and I think you will too, is their frequent updates. And the headphones are no different. So far I've seen like 3 or 4 firmware updates, and if you look in the changelog, it's not just minor things like bug fixes and minor enhancements like other manufacturers vaguely say. It's a shopping list. If you look at Wyze's updates, it's always a shopping list. They're listening to their customers, they're quelling bugs, and they're adding features all the time, and that's one thing I love about the Wyze community. It's unfortunate then that I have to put sound quality in the negatives because overall it sounds fine, but the area where it suffers the most is in the treble or high frequencies, because in that frequency it just sounds veiled or muffled or something. Most of the time it seems like it's not even there. Now, even the solid bass and the pretty accurate mids are not enough to make up for it, especially if you're listening to something outside of EDM or hip hop. In those two categories, these two things, the bass and the mids, they sing pretty well, but when you add in pop and classical or jazz or something, the voices and also individual instruments or lead instruments lack the brightness and the detail that you really want. So that's really unfortunate. And the 4-band equalizer does not do much help either. And don't forget, there's also the Tautronics BH90 and the Soundcore Q30 that leaves this thing in the dust in terms of sound quality. Another weakness is the noise cancellation. I think the algorithm struggles quite a bit with constant low frequencies like engine sounds on buses and planes. So if you're going on a trip with this, you're gonna regret it. But if you're using this around the house, for example, around crying babies or mowing the lawn, I think you'll be perfectly fine. But again, it's existing in the same space as the Soundcore Q30 that trumps it in noise cancellation. But that being said, I think firmware updates can improve it. So Wyze, if you're listening, you have some work to do, but I think you shouldn't give up hope yet. The last negative is the bulkiness. The weight distribution is fine and all, but let's not forget, this is 281 grams. The moment I shake my head, it just falls off of it like my head is slathered with butter or something. So if we were to look at this headphone just within the vacuum, or through the eyes of a hardcore Wyze fanboy that just won't take no for an answer, well then yes, this is a very competent set of cans with certain features that only high-end headphones have. It sounds pretty good, it's priced well, there's customization. But the fact is that the latest models from Tautronics and Soundcore exist, and they beat this thing out in key areas like sound, noise cancellation, and overall refinement. And the fact is, this Wyze is priced wrong. $70 is the same price as those highly rated models. If this was priced at a more reasonable $50 or $55, this thing would be so much better. I think I'll recommend it more easily. And I know some of you may say, Aaron, you're kind of harsh on the Wyze headphones overall. And yes, I am, because this is priced the same as those things. And the fact that those exist, I can't ignore it. But, you know, I respect Wyze for doing this, and I hope they come up with the next version. I really look forward to what they have. But with that being said, I want to give the Wyze headphones a gear up score of 7.4 out of 10. And here's the breakdown of how I got to the final score. If you have any questions on how I got there, just feel free to comment down below. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and please come back next Friday. We're going to be checking out the OnePlus Nord N10 5G. This is a brand new mid-range smartphone, and I'm excited to test this one out for you guys. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel right here. Mash that button. You know you want to actually just click it and turn on the bell notification icon. So thank you in advance for your help. And if you'd like to support this financially too, visit my Patreon page where you can leave me a tip or buy me a cup of coffee or tea or something and get your name shouted out right here. And remember the thumbs up if you like this video. Yes, super important stuff, and comment nicely down below. And thumbs down. Thumbs down to YouTube algorithms. Just when you thought you figured her out, she morphs and bites you in the back. There's so much policies and procedures that have to follow just to make a video. That's not enough. Just to get to the top of searches, you have to figure out the algorithm. It's like I have to visit, I have to go to Harry Potter's School of Magic and sacrifice an animal in my local temple just to get things, just to satisfy the Google gods. And yeah, I just thumbs down to the YouTube algorithm as it is. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. But anyways, that's all I got, guys. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you so much again for being here. And be nice and kind and loving to somebody out here around you, because it starts with you guys and the world needs it more than ever. Peace out, and I love you very much. Whoosh.